Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Eddie Marcus, and I'm back. Spokesman and advocate for basic human rights for all people. That means every last one of you. Thy motto is that thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Today I want to speak to you on the subject matter, ignorant black-ass nigger. That's a subject matter I'm sure most of you have heard of at one time or another. I don't mean to suggest that someone has individually or through a group actually to my face called me an ignorant black-ass nigger. But understanding our society in which we live, I'm convinced beyond a shadow of doubt that when people hear that I want to be the next president of the United States of America, and when they see me, one of the first thoughts that come to their mind is that is an ignorant black-ass nigger. How in the world can he be president of the United States? First of all, he's black. Can't be president of the United States. At least Barack Obama is mixed. Next of all, he's poor. How in the world can he be president of the United States? How can he advocate for something that would make this nation progressive? And how can he deal with the many affairs and issues that this nation has to deal with domestically and foreign? There's no way. He has to be a black-ass nigger. But you know, ladies and gentlemen, if I'm going to speak with you on that matter, I want you to understand this. That statement is a reflection of the training of the citizens of this nation. It has happened through schools. It has happened through the media, especially television. When I was a child, some years ago, we used to see John Wayne on television, Randolph Scott, movies of the Western, how the West was won, how America became America. And in those productions, you always saw the Union soldiers fighting the Indians. Now, the natives were the ones who lived here, supposedly, when foreigners from another country came here. And they came here, they wanted to possess land because where they came from, in order to have ownership or to be able to master the land, you had to take it, you had to buy it, you had to do whatever was necessary to get it. And when they came here to America, the idea was the same. You got to take it. And when natives were here, having dominion over things, these people came in and they were fighting and killing these people who already were here and took over the land. And they presented the people that were here as being savages. Savages, ladies and gentlemen. They came over here killing and destroying people who were already here settled. But the people who were here settled, who were losing their dominion, were considered savages. And the one who was doing all the brutality were considered proper. So I grew up with a fear of natives because all I had seen them doing was taking sticks and bow and arrows and running through hollering, woo! Hey, that put fear in me. I remember once I was a young boy. My father was taking me in Mississippi to a different location from where I lived. And when we got to a certain distance, he told me, now we're going to be passing some Indian reservations. And I had been so brainwashed and so fearful of Indians, natives, whatever you want to call them, till I got on the floor of the car. Just that fearful. But it wasn't just that. As we were growing up, we used to see Africans, their children on Tarzan. They never showed blacks in a positive light. All we saw was bamboos in people's hands, running through the jungle talking, woo, with horns and ears, and bones in their ears and in their nose. And that fear stayed with me for a long time. In fact, I was a grown man, traveled a lot across the world, and still were afraid of Africa. And I didn't know it, except one night I had a dream, maybe within the past 5 or 10 years. And I was on a plane that ended up crashing in Africa. When I realized that I had survived the crash, I was trying to find some cage or something to hide in because I was afraid of Africans. Republicans were working executives wearing suits, carrying briefcases, working in buildings, justice buildings here in the United States, elevators in buildings. Blew my mind. And even when I went to Shantytown where I saw poor people living, they had sense. They were as rational as you and I. That is the thing that broke my fear. So training has a major effect on people. And so when you talk about white people have been trained, I don't know about over there, but I'm sure it was over there too, because what they had over there is what they brought over here, have been trained to be fearful of blacks. On television, in schools, in their homes, the conduct that they have expressed throughout the generations have put a mindset in white people, even the good old white boys and white women, are still fearful of blacks because of what they have been trained to believe. And even though this is the 21st century, they still believe it. That is why you see cops who can stop black people on the street and treat them as I was treated the other day. A cop stopped me, said my light was out. Yeah, he came up into my yard, treated me like I had just robbed a bank, or he had just seen me in a drug bust. He was coming to recover me. This is something that's implanted. So I want you to know, we have to understand that there are prejudices out there. There are other things that are keeping people so divided, as I'll get to in a moment. But we must admit, first of all, that these things do exist. And when we got all these different thoughts about different people existing in a system where you have a government that you make policies that dictate how they're supposed to go and come and how you're supposed to treat them, they are going to be as prejudicial as the people who have been trained to think the way they think. And when we recognize this, we understand why things are the way they are. We must believe without a doubt that injustices exist everywhere, and it is incumbent upon those who recognize this to change it if they so desire. And if you desire, the evidence is in the efforts that you make. And I don't care what talking you give, you're not doing the walking, you lying. Now, ladies and gentlemen, why is this method? It is used to create and cause and maintain division. And in this division, economically speaking, we have what we call rich. Some people want to call themselves the elite. Then you have the middle class. And you have the poor. Now, in this process that I've just described to you, the elite have a group of philosophers and a form of thought and activists and representation through the Republican Party. They are concerned about amassing, conserving for themselves because they are the elite. Republicans. Now, why are they the elite? Well, usually it's because they got a lot of money. And where does that money come from? That money comes from exploitation. That money comes from beating and cheating other people and taking what belongs to another. There's another group of people. They are called middle class. They all want to be elite, but the elite have to keep the door closed because as people become elite, then it means that some of those they got to lose something that they have, and they're not having it. Yet these groups have a representation through the Democratic Party. Their concern is to maintain at least a certain status that the rich will not continue to get richer, because as they get richer, they are usurping from the middle class. So these Democrats represent the middle class. Now there's another group of people that comes through this division. They are called poor people. These poor people got nobody representing them. Even grassroots organizations that comes up out of the ground to support these poor, they are easily bought off by getting grants or federal restrictions, legal restrictions, legislative restrictions that restrict the activities that they can indulge themselves in order to maintain the little support that they get so they can give some type of representation to the poor. Now, these are three groups of people out here in American society. They are the same group of people that are represented in every society, whether it's under democracy, whether it's under socialism, capitalism, communism, dictatorships. They always exist because this is the mentality of human beings. Human beings that have been brought up on an idea that there is a God, and that God is the elite. That God is the one who's able to control and manipulate everything. And in order to maintain and to be able to do this, they come up with the strategies that would take people who genuinely recognize years in the beginning that there was a power outside of themselves that created the earth, that was able to make all of the things that exist above the earth, on the earth, and in the earth for the usage of the human beings. These people have been put aside by a person, a power, a system that comes into being that says we have to legislate these things. We have to be able to control these things because they are not infinite. In other words, we understand how these things should be. You must give us the authority, and since we have convinced you that you don't know any better, then you do give us that authority. And the tool that we use to keep people distracted is money. You've heard me say this. I don't think there should be any presentation that I make that denies this reality. With God, I tell you that everything that you want to do can be done. But the system founded on men who want to be God says that that can't happen. Yet they recognize that it's supposed to happen, so they give you a tool called money that says if you got enough of this, you can do anything you want. You can educate yourself, you can have any healthcare system you want, you can do any kind of job you want, you can travel all over the world you want, you can work or not work. As long as you got money, you can do anything. I even have to mention to you, in this process, they give guys like Peyton, forgive me for calling his name, someone who plays a sport, I say maybe less than a year, maybe 20 months out of a year. Well, not 20 months out of a year, but say 20 months out of 5 years. Making $96 million. That equals out close to almost $20 million for 3 months' work a year. While other people are struggling from sun up to sundown, 5, 6 days a week, some doing double time, some of them work a couple of jobs, just trying to make ends meet. But you know money is no problem because they're giving it away to entertainers. They're giving it away to athletes. They're giving it away to execs. They're giving it away to people who can fall in that form of the elite or can be in that process of the system that allows others to be exploited. They're just giving it away while they're choking the life out of you and me. Now, let me say this. With this system set up the way it is, out of it comes racism. And most of you know what racism is. Out of the system came slavery. And slavery still exists, but it has a different name today. Out of it comes bigotry. Out of it comes crime and violence, terrorism and war. All of these things are a consequence of the systems that we have accepted so that there can be an elite group, there can be a middle class group, and there can be poor people. All of this ugliness comes out of it, and yet it has been accepted. But I ask you this, who has a vision amongst all that you've heard here today? Out of that, who has a vision of a perfect society? Not the rich, not the middle class, not the poor, not the community at large, not religion of any faith, not the Amish, the Muslims, the Christians, the Mormons, Jehovah's Witnesses, the Catholics, nor Baptists, nor Methodists, nor Pentecostal, nor Jews, nor blacks, nor whites, nor men, nor women. Now you say, how can I say this? I've been out here for 33 years, and for 33 years I've been advocating for all people. Not because I'm so wise, but the God that I serve, the God that has not only created what I can see, feel, touch, smell, all that other good stuff, but has made the revelation more change your thought and make a difference in the world in which you live. But amongst all these groups that I just mentioned, I have not found a brotherhood, a sisterhood, a community hood, or any hood that would support such. And yet, they all think that they're greater lovers than the next. Every religious faith exists because they think they're better than the other. Every organization exists because they think that it's better than the other. Not too long ago, I had an occasion several times to go to the state capitol and speak out in testimony about issues that had to do with the state budget. And I noticed there you would have people from every group, even from the medical profession, various situations there saying why it is so important that they get the funds that they need to continue the work that they do. Now, I know that every work that they do is legitimate. Every last one of them as legitimate as the other. And I don't see any of them as being more legitimate than another. And so when I give my testimony, I speak for all of them. I speak for the cancer. I speak for the MS. I speak for every disease that are there asking for money. And it seems as though they get pissed off with me because I didn't choose a side. I didn't choose one over the other. And so I know if I had spoken for anyone in particular, they would have been stroking me at the end of the presentation, appreciating what I had done. But it's only a reflection of the training that they have gone through. Well, it happens that way, ladies and gentlemen. Now, you ask, why do I say to you that I see the perfect society? Well, ladies and gentlemen, think about this. That is my particular uniqueness, and others have it. They are great artists, great painters, great musicians, great architects, great singers. It's expressed this greatness and uniqueness through the flight, through electricity, through computers, through automobiles, through Apple, through Google, through Facebook. Yet, all of this uniqueness didn't exist at one time, but it came into a human situation. And it did not just manifest all of the wonderful things that it does, and it was done so that the people could benefit from it. But man, God decided to exploit it and say, and make money a tool, a benefit of those of you who have been blessed with this uniqueness. So that everybody would want to use it, could have to pay. In order to pay, they got to get the money. In order to get the money, they got to do what we want to do. And who's speaking? Man, those who make money. Those who allow you to use that money. Those who charge you for using that money. Those who confiscate from you. Those who have you totally away from God and totally at the money, not knowing. Now, you at the money, you don't know that you're being led by a group of people that make that money and set it up. You don't know that. You don't think. They haven't allowed you to think that. All you want is the money. And so this is the consequence of the things such as this. But I must believe that there are people somewhere. It's crazy for me to believe that I'm the only one who cares about other people, who want peace and prosperity and joy for other people. I must believe this. But at the same time in believing this, I must also state that I only know of one, because I never met any others. Only one. That's my uniqueness. That's what I do. For 33 years, that's what I do. I have crossed this country. I've gone abroad. I've written booklets and pamphlets and CDs and DVDs. I've run for office of mayor, governor, state, U.S. senator, president of the United States, as a pathway to be able to demonstrate to the American people and consequently people all over the world that peace and prosperity and joy is a promise from the creator of all existence. And we got to take our focus off that man who keeps us doing the things that we're doing today. You got Republicans saying one thing. You got Democrats saying one thing. In fact, you got Republicans going at odds with one another about who is best to serve those who are rich. Who is best to conserve and make it better for the rich. You got those, well, it's really just one, this is a choice for last election, that's saying I can help you, the middle class, maintain a certain semblance of life. You have nobody saying I speak up for the poor, except God. It is God's voice through me that I know of that represents the poor, but does not represent the poor alone. It represents the poor, the middle class, and the rich. Now, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven means that everybody is rich. Someone said if everybody's rich, then nobody's rich. Recognize that everybody can have unlimited, unrestricted education. That's God's. Now, man, and the systems of the world say somebody got to be more educated than another. Why not choose dedicated instead of educated? Healthcare for everyone, from the womb to the tomb, all across the board. Human beings, that's God's way. A career of choice that allows each and every last one of you, whether it's to do something electrically, whether it's to create more computers or different forms of computer, whether it's to create more cameras or videos or how it can be used or how to establish more effective energy sources or how to travel, whether highways or skyways or waterways, all of these things that come from the giver of gifts. But it allows us to do all of these things that makes us a better people, a growing people, more heavenliness on earth. That stuff comes from God. And that's what I speak to you about. That's what, but you're not getting that from these other candidates. And not one of you are thinking about what God is saying to you through me. At least, if you are keeping it a secret. And like the last election, I will have one or two write-ins. The election before then, probably one. And so on and so forth. And yet, you call yourselves born again. I have to tell you, you don't act like it. Now, I'm not trying to condemn you. I'm trying to pull you out of that trap that you're caught in. Out here in this community, we got a whole bunch of white churches and just a couple of blacks. I tried to organize a meeting to bring all of these churches together so we can put that Spirit of God that we talk about every Sunday to work within this community. I was the only one that showed up to the meeting. And these churches are packed. They're teaching that slavery is okay. They're teaching that poverty will always be with you. They're teaching you that a man can have two masters, man and God. Woo! And so, ladies and gentlemen, after it's all said and done, I was thinking about it last night. And I'm intelligent. And I know that people, for the most part, not just white people, but black people as well, are calling me an ignorant black-ass nigga, thinking I can do something. Who am I? Because they don't believe much in themselves. They believe in idols, like the king and the queen and the prince and the princess. They're always talking about on TV. They believe in the people who got billions of dollars. They bring them on TV, talk about them. They honor that. I don't. I honor people who stand up for what is right, stand up for justice. But anyway, I was thinking last night, I know that you are like you are, and I know why you are like you are. And I know just my speaking to you and you hear me like this is not going to change you. And so me becoming your next president of the United States is like tasking America to become an ice age next year. But I do it. Because at the end of the day, when they say, is there one person that wanted everybody to have education? My name will be there. Is there one human being that wanted everybody to have health care from the womb to the tomb? My name will be there, whether you admit it or not. Is there one individual, human being, that wanted everybody to have an opportunity to play a process, a part in the creation of the goods and services that human beings have determined were essential in their well-being? My name will be there. Is there one individual who stood up for justice, peace, and prosperity for every human being? My name will be there. My name will be there. And to say that my name is there means one thing, that the spirit of the creative force that made everything that you can't see, can see, and can't even imagine was being represented by at least one individual, one human being, and my name will be there. Yes, I have asked you to make me the next president of the United States. And I'm running as a righty. I have no Republican who will give me one penny. I have no Democrat that will give me one penny. I have no people of another party that will give me one penny. I have no religious organization in this country that will give me one penny. I have no newspapers, no television that will print anything that I'm saying to tell you. And so I have to run as a write-in. And my method of reaching you is through word of mouth or the social media. So, why? Because God, who made you, loves you, even though you do not love yourselves. So, for those of you who might be moved and inspired by what you've seen and heard here, my name will not be on a ballot in any state. But I heard that most states have a blank space where if you don't want any of the above, you can write Eddie Marcus in there. And if you don't trust Eddie Marcus, if you don't believe that Eddie Marcus has true intentions, and you recognize that everything is wrong, and could it be better, then write your own name in there. Don't just be supporting a devil. Say, well, this is a big devil, this is a little devil, so you choose to support the smaller devil. All the smaller devil needs to get big is your support. And I say to you, if you do not have a vision for every human being, if you do not embrace peace and prosperity and joy for everyone, don't write your name in there. Stay at home.